I was flipping burgers on the grill when it happened. One shot, one scream. June collapsed on the porch. Ellie's float spun alone on the water, blood trailing behind it. Time froze. I dropped the spatula, heart sprinting. Ellie was in the water, face down. I screamed her name, Dovin, lungs burning, praying the bullet hadn't taken her. Before we continue, please drop a like and comment below with your country and what time it is right now where you're watching. Whether it's sunrise in Australia, midnight in New York, afternoon in Canada, or evening in France, I want to know. Don't just sit back, tell me where in the world you are. Now, let's dive into the story. June clutched her shoulder, screaming, "She shot us." I reached Ellie, lifted her gently. She was breathing but barely. Her float had a hole. The water turned red around us. I laid Ellie on the dock, heart pounding, tears falling. June whispered, "She aimed at our baby." I nodded. Karen stood across the lake, rifle lowered, robe flapping. She didn't run. She didn't move. Just stared like nothing mattered. Our neighbors watched but didn't come closer. They just stood still, recording on their phones. Sirens were too far. I wrapped June's shoulder with my shirt, pressing hard. Her face turned white. Ellie whimpered. I kissed her forehead, whispering she was safe now. Karen finally shouted, "I thought it was a bird." My blood boiled. I yelled back, "That was my child." But she turned inside, shutting her sliding door calmly. The cops arrived 40 minutes later. One cruiser, one man. He walked slow, like nothing urgent happened. Went to Karen first. Ignored the blood-soaked porch we sat on. "I own this lake," I told him, showing the deed. He raised a brow but said nothing. June whispered, "Don't let her get away with this, Clay." I looked at our baby. My hands shook. Karen had no idea who she just crossed. She didn't just shoot into a lake. She fired into the wrong man's world. The sheriff walked like he was delivering mail, not responding to a shooting. He tipped his hat at Karen. She smiled sweetly. My wife was bleeding. My baby barely breathing. I shouted, "She shot them." He turned slowly. "Miss Kendrick claims it was an accident. Shooting birds." My jaw clenched. "She shot toward children." He didn't seem surprised. Or moved. Karen stepped down her porch in slippers, still holding her rifle. "There were loons," she said flatly. I fired twice. "Didn't see the kid. I'm sorry if anyone's hurt." "If." I barked. June screamed in pain beside me. Ellie whimpered again. My voice cracked. She aimed, "Officer." Right at them. He looked at Karen's house, not at me. I handed him the lake deed. "This is private. I own it." He scanned it. Raised an eyebrow. "Didn't know that." Karen looked stunned for the first time. "I'm pressing charges," I said. He sighed. "That's up to the DA." Karen clutched her robe. "I swear I didn't mean." I stood. "Don't talk to me." An ambulance finally arrived. EMTs carried Ellie and June inside. I rode along, holding Ellie's hand, heart ripped open. Karen stood at her steps, untouched. Not even questioned. At the hospital, doctors stabilized them. The bullet grazed Ellie's ribs. Missed her lung by inches. June would need surgery. I couldn't sleep that night. Rage kept me up. Neighbors didn't call. Didn't text. But someone posted, "Incident at Kendrick Lake, tragic misunderstanding." Misunderstanding? She nearly killed my whole world. This wasn't a mistake. It was hate. Karen thought she fired at noise. But I saw her eyes. She aimed with intent. What she didn't know was she didn't just fire at strangers. She fired at the owner. 6 months earlier, we bought the lake cabin for peace. Away from Tempe Valley, away from HOA politics. Just trees, birds, water, and our daughter's giggles echoing across the shoreline. The seller mentioned old property quirks. I dug into county records. That's when I found it. A deed from 1891. Our land included full water rights. Every single inch. It felt unreal. But the documents were clear. I refiled them quietly. Didn't brag. Didn't post. Just printed 2 copies, laminated them, stored them in a fireproof safe under the bed. Karen Kendrick introduced herself the next day. Tight smile. Tight robe. Sharp tongue. "You'll need HOA approval for those wind chimes," she said. I replied, "We're not in the HOA." Her smile vanished. "Everyone around this lake is. You're part of the community, like it or not." I said, "No, ma'am. Legally, we're not." That was the first crack in her mask. She started sending notices. Claimed we violated dock symmetry regulations. Ellie's duck float wasn't aesthetically suitable. We laughed at first. June said, "Ignore her. She'll get bored eventually." But she didn't get bored. She got bitter. Started walking her poodle past our driveway 5 times a day. Took pictures of our fire pit. Glared at Ellie for giggling. I reported her to the board. They said, "She's just protective." Protective of what? Her kingdom? Her silence? Our family was simply existing, and that offended her. June warned me, women like her don't stop. They escalate. I still believed logic would fix it. I underestimated how deep hate can sit in lonely hearts. I watched Karen once from behind the curtains. Her eyes scanned our home like it didn't belong. That's when I realized this wasn't about rules. It was about control. It started with small things. Wind chimes disappearing. Our mailbox ripped open. Ellie's toys found melted on the dock. I kept thinking, kids being dumb. But we had no neighborhood kids. Then one morning, June found our dog, Tucker, limping. Gash on his leg. Vet said it was clean, blade-like. I knew. We both did. June cried. Ellie asked, "Tucker sad?" I installed cameras. Karen's security lights blinded them nightly. Coincidence? Sheriff Branham shrugged. Could be raccoons. Neighborhood pranksters. I asked, "What neighborhood?" "Everyone here's over 60. He didn't answer. I printed stills from the night Karen dumped spoiled meat on our dock. The HOA said, "She's grieving. Her husband passed." I said, "So she poisons children's play areas?" Karen escalated. Hosted a meeting about safety standards and unsupervised minors. No names were used. But everyone looked at me. Like Ellie laughing too loud was a neighborhood threat. We stopped going outside after sunset. The cabin, once our dream, became a prison. June whispered, "I don't feel safe here anymore." I promised her, "She's just noise. We're stronger." But I started caring. Quietly. Just in case. Not for vengeance. For protection. For my girls. Because I was learning. Karen didn't just dislike us. She loathed us. I caught her watching our bedroom window one night. Through binoculars. I stepped outside. She didn't flinch. Just sipped wine, robe fluttering. She wanted me to see her. I should have packed us up. Sold the place. Let her rot alone. But something inside me hated giving her that win. I stayed. We stayed. And paid the price. People like Karen don't burn bridges. They burn homes. And hearts. And innocence. I knew a storm was building. I just didn't know the lightning would come from her gun. The ambulance crawled up the hill like it had nowhere to be. 40 minutes late. June's eyes were fluttering. Ellie was barely breathing. I paced, heart in pieces, rage boiling. 2 EMTs leapt out. They grabbed Ellie first. I begged, "Please save her." One nodded. The other turned to June. "Ma'am, stay with us." Her grip on me tightened. Karen stood by her porch, now wearing pearls. Her rifle was gone. She held a mug like nothing happened. Sheriff Branham leaned against his cruiser, sipping soda, watching the chaos quietly. "Why isn't she in cuffs?" I asked. "She just tried to murder my family." He shrugged. "She says she aimed at a bird. Could be manslaughter, if that." I pointed to my deed copy. "She fired over water I own." Branham glanced at it, again. "Still needs a warrant. Can't arrest her just yet." Just yet? My blood boiled. Neighbors stood at their windows, phones out. No one approached. One man clapped slowly when Karen waved. I'd never known hate like this. This wasn't a community. It was a cult. They wheeled Ellie into the ambulance. I climbed in. June whispered, "Don't let her win." I kissed her cheek. She just declared war. She'll regret this day. The doors shut. Sirens wailed. Karen smiled as we pulled away. That smug face burned into me. The lake reflected her twisted victory. But what she didn't know, it was her battlefield no longer. I spent that ride writing names in my mind. Branham. Kendrick. Every board member who laughed at me. I wasn't after revenge. I wanted justice. And I had land. Power. But Karen shot into water she didn't own. At lives she couldn't destroy. Now, I'd show her what real ownership meant. I wasn't just a father. I was the lake's reckoning. 3 days later, I filed the restriction papers. Water rights enforcement. No boats, no docks, no fishing. Karen fired a bullet across my lake. Now I fired back, through paperwork. The county clerk blinked. You're serious? I slid the documents across. Dead serious. The lake was mine. All access revoked. Every dock now trespassing. Karen's kingdom was officially sinking. I emailed the HOA board. Effective immediately, the lake is closed under private control. Any access is a violation. Enforcement begins Friday. No threats. Just law. And they knew it. Karen called the same evening. I let it ring. Then again. Finally, I picked up. Her voice shook. You can't do this. I replied, I already did. You'll see. That weekend, I hired a private patrol. Posted signs. No access, private lake property. Neighbors stared. One guy tried launching his jet ski. Patrol issued a citation. He cursed me. Karen held a town meeting. We must fight this, she barked. But most were silent. They knew. Her lies caught up. Her HOA throne was crumbling. And I wasn't done. I filed a civil suit for damages. Emotional trauma. Medical bills. The sheriff recused himself. A state officer opened investigation. Karen was finally cornered. But not yet finished. That night she stood outside my gate. Clay, we need to talk. I stepped out, holding June's hospital bill. Here's your conversation. She flinched. You're destroying the community. I laughed bitterly. This community watched my child nearly die. And clapped. Her eyes dimmed. Please. I'll give up the board. Just, don't take the lake. I leaned in. It was never yours. Karen turned and walked away, shoulders sagging. She finally looked small. But she hadn't seen my final move yet. The water she ruled was drying fast, and I held the dam. I sent Karen a letter. You have 7 days to vacate. Offer, sell your home to me for $1, or I release EPA footage. Choose wisely. Attached, photos of waste. Karen dumped septic runoff into the lake for years. I had footage. She didn't know until now. One call to the EPA and she'd owe over $250,000 in fines. She arrived on day 6. Makeup running, pearls missing, holding a signed deed transfer. You win, she whispered. I nodded. No, Karen. My daughter won. My wife. Justice did. I'm just paperwork. I signed the check, $1, and slid it across. She stared at it, then at me. This lake was everything. I replied, you could have had peace. You chose control. Now it's mine. She left that day with one suitcase. No goodbye to the board. No farewell party. The queen of Kendrick Lake disappeared, and no one offered tears. Just silence. I stood in her empty yard that evening. June joined me. Her shoulder was healing. Ellie toddled with Scout. You okay? June asked. I said, not yet. But better. We turned Karen's house into a retreat center for mothers and kids fleeing HOA violence, abuse, or harassment. Free of charge. Donations only. Ellie's name painted on the dock. The press caught on. Father turns site of family shooting into haven. Neighbors flipped. Some moved. Others apologized. One even baked a pie. Karen's empire became a sanctuary. I wasn't angry anymore. I was rebuilding. Not just homes. Safety. The lake felt clean again. Quiet. It was no longer cursed by Karen's voice. And when Ellie looked up and said, Daddy, the lake likes us now, I knew she felt it too. Peace wasn't a dream anymore. It was ours, because we claimed it back. She returned 1 year later. Unexpected. Unannounced. Karen Kendrick, frail, older, quieter, stood by the old fence post like a ghost revisiting her past. I saw her before she knocked. I stepped onto the porch. Scout barked once, then sat. Ellie peeked through the curtains. Karen's eyes were red. "Just passing through," she mumbled. "Visiting my husband's grave." I nodded. "This land's open to everyone now, except hate." She flinched. "I came to say something." Her voice cracked. "I was wrong. I saw your family's joy and hated it." She paused. "I didn't shoot at Ellie. But I didn't care enough not to. That's the truth. I hated what I didn't have." I said nothing. Let silence answer. Karen stared at the dock. "You saved this place. Even after everything." I crossed my arms. "Not for you. For her." I pointed toward Ellie. "She still asks why the lady was angry." Karen blinked hard. "Tell her? I was empty." I nodded. "I'll tell her nothing. Some people don't need to live in her memory." Her lip trembled. She looked away. "I sold my new place," she whispered. "Moving into assisted living. Karma, I guess." I didn't reply. She looked small now. Not the tyrant. Just a tired woman. I watched her walk away. Slowly. Carefully. Like the ground was finally too heavy. June stepped beside me. "Forgive her?" she asked. "No," I said. "But I've released her." Ellie ran outside. "Daddy, come play." I scooped her up. Karen reached her car. Drove off. Didn't look back. And just like that, the shadow she cast vanished. Peace didn't mean forgetting. It meant choosing joy anyway. And we chose it. Over and over. Because sometimes healing isn't about justice. It's about reclaiming what evil tried to ruin. We renamed the property Ellie's Haven. Painted it on a wood sign above the dock. The lake was open again, but only to those who brought kindness, not control. Families came. Teachers. Single moms. Veterans. Word spread. The lake became a retreat, healing through water, laughter, and shared meals. Karen's old Achu throne? We turned it into a sandbox. We auctioned the last empty property. Profits went to gun safety education. A woman named Dr. Salas bought it, a trauma counselor. She said, "This place feels like redemption." I nodded. That's the goal. Ellie made friends. Tucker played freely. June smiled more. I finally slept. The nightmares faded, replaced by new sounds. Kids laughing, waves lapping, fireflies buzzing under string lights. One day, a journalist visited. Asked me, "Would you undo it all if you could?" I looked out at the lake. Thought of June's scar. Ellie's screams. Karen's rifle. "No," I said. "We don't undo storms. We build rafts from the wreckage." He printed that quote. It trended. Ellie's Haven received grant offers. Donations. Kind letters. Justice by Ripple. Former HOA members returned. Quietly. Humbly. Some cried. One apologized for clapping when Karen lied. I listened. Didn't forget. But I let them help. Rebuilding meant shared hands. June started a podcast. From Bullet to Breeze. Stories of others wronged by HOAs and healed through community. Episode 1. The Lake That Fought Back. We kept Karen's robe. Hung it in the barn. Not as a trophy, but a reminder of what unchecked power becomes. And what love can outlast. Ellie's drawings hang beside it. This lake once held blood. Now it holds peace. Because hate may echo loudest, but love stays longer. Deeper. Stronger. And in Ellie's Haven, love always floats back to the surface. Ellie turned 5 last Sunday. She wore a blue life vest, a sparkly crown, and shouted, "Let's race, Daddy." I laughed, grabbed a paddle, and we sailed across the sunrise together. The lake shimmered gold. June clapped from the porch. Music played softly from a dock speaker. No sirens. No shouts. Just joy. A sound we hadn't truly heard in years. After cake, Ellie pointed across the water. That house used to be mean. I knelt. It's kind now, baby. Because you're in it. She smiled. I think the lake likes us again. I walked alone at sunset. Wind tugged my flannel. I stood where Karen once screamed Acha rules. Now, kids built sandcastles. Peace was thick in the air, earned not gifted. The local paper did a follow-up. Man who closed a lake reopened a community. It made the front page. June framed it beside our deed, now cracked but cherished. Karen never returned. Last I heard, she was in a memory unit. They said she talked to mirrors. Gave fake tickets to nurses. Still playing queen, even without a kingdom. I don't hate her. I don't honor her either. She's just the villain in our story, the one who taught us how far love must go to protect itself. June asked if we should move. Start over. I shook my head. We already did. Right here. We didn't survive this place, we transformed it. She kissed my shoulder. Ellie threw a rock into the water. It skipped twice. The same. That one was for Scout, she said. Our dog had passed peacefully. Another chapter closed, sweetly. The lake is ours now. Not because paper says so, but because blood, tears, and truth sealed it. And when you own something through love, no bullet, board, or Karen can ever take it.